Good morning, everyone. Mazel tov, mazel tov. Baruch Hashem. Today we are starting the fourth Seder of Mishnayos, Seder Neziken. We finished Seder Noshim yesterday, and the Siyum will be on Shabbos at my son's Ufruf. Good morning. And today we are starting with Bava Kamma, Baruch Hashem. Um, Today's shir is Lili Nishmas Aaron Nachman Simcha Koiner Shulmorcha Ben Shem Sabracha Sabash Moalev and Binam Moshe Ben Yosef Meir the Nishmas will have an aliyah and for Shlema for Yisrael Ben Rocha Leah Rocha Bas Bas Zoda Rocha Eliana Bas Yar Bracha Avram Yisrael Ben Risha Chai Bas Tu Abela for Shlema Besof Shar Chale Yisrael. Okay, here we go. Bava Kamma means the first gate. There's really three gates. There's Bava Kamma, Bava Metzia, and Bava Basra. It's really one. It's really one long. It's really one long Masechta called Neziken. It was broken down into three sections: the first gate, the middle gate, and the last gate. But Kamma is first, Metzia is the middle, and Basra is the last. Um, Very interesting because Kalim and Taharas, which we'll get to in a few months, hopefully, Mirch Hashem, is also 30 Prakim. And they were, Chazal spoke about breaking those into three Masechtas as well, as the same thing as like Bava Kamma, Bava Metzia, Bava Basra for Kalim, like beginning, middle, and end. But because Kalim is learned a lot less frequently than uh, than than the Zekin is, they didn't bother doing that, which makes it a little bit difficult for people who are doing that for Shiva. But okay. Anyways, um, so Bava Basra, Bava Kamma is, you know, we're talking about all different types of damages and payments and everything. And well, let's get right into this. Let's just jump in. Okay. Perek, Bava Kamma, Perek Aleph, Mishnah Aleph. Here we go. Arba Avos Nezikin. There are four primary damagers for for category headings when it comes to damage being done that's chayiv in the Torah. Number one is Hashor, the ox, which does damage while with its feet as it walks. This category is known as regel, as the foot, which includes any damage done by an animal in the course of walking or other movements. I think the contemporary posts can say that this is where like you have instead of the short nowadays you have the cars, you know, the car accidents and stuff like that fall under short. The habor is number two, the pit into which people or animals fall. This is the category of bor, which includes damages done by an obstacle that stays in place. If you um, Mave is number three, which is the tooth of an animal, which does damage when the animal eats. This is the category of shame. Um, which includes damages that an animal does while doing something for its own pleasure, such as eating. And an animal eating it's for its own sake. It's not for anything else. But hever and the fire, which is the category of aish, includes damage done by something that's left in one place but is blown elsewhere by the wind, and does damage as it travels. We're going to see this all as we go through the Masechta. Lo hari hashor hari hamave. The ox, which damages through walking, the regel is not like the tooth, which damages through eating. The difference is that that animal often walks on another person's property, but does not often eat another person's property. It only eats when it's hungry. Although some animals eat the whole day. You watch some of the animals that just chomp 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 the whole day long. Um, Therefore, if the Torah had said only that the owner must pay for damages done through walking, which is a common behavior, we might have thought that he need not pay for damages done through eating, which is relatively unusual. So we should not. So in order to not think this, the Torah added the example of eating. Below hari hamavek hari ashor. The tooth, which damages through eating through the shin, is not like the ox, which damages through the regular. You can't compare the two categories. The difference over there is that the owner of the animal benefits when he eats the property of others, since he didn't have to feed it himself. He doesn't benefit when it damages the property of others in the course of walking. So there's a benefit of it when the animal eats. So accordingly, if the Torah had only said said only that the owner must pay for the damages of eating, from which he benefits, we might have thought that he does not need to pay for the damages of when the animals are walking, which doesn't have which, which he does not gain from. So to prevent this mistake, the Torah added the example of regular walking. And the ox and the tooth, in which there's life, are not like fire, which is no life. That's the third category, right? Fire is not a living creature. Therefore, it has to be it's classified differently. Below there is a animal and fire, which tend to move and damage, are not like a pit, which does not tend to move and damage. You have a pit, you have an open manhole cover. The pit's not moving anywhere. Fire moves. Fire gets blown by the wind. It jumps around. But the pit, the guy left the manhole cover open. That's a bore. All right, that's not moving anywhere. So you can't classify each category is different from one to the other, and they don't mix. But you have to be paid for damages from all four categories if they occur. The common characteristics are that they tend to do damage, and the responsibility for watching them is on you. That person is responsible to prevent them from damaging either because he owns them or he created them, and that applies to all four categories. Because Yehizik, Chav, Chavamazik, Lishalim, Tashlumi, Nezik, B'metav Haaretz. Accordingly, when one of them does damage, the damager, when the person who's responsible for guarding it, must pay damages with the best of the land that he owns, and not the worst. Mishnah Beis. Whatever I'm required to do, whatever I am required to guard from doing damage, Hiksharti as Nisko. I cause the damage that it does if I fail to guard it properly. Therefore, I must pay. If you have a chiyuv to guard the thing and you don't do it, then you're responsible. Hiksharti b'mixas Nisko. In some cases, even if I cause only part of its damage, chavti b'tashlumin kehechsher kol. I am obligated to make the entire payment as though I were the cause of all of its damage. So, if a person created a part of a dangerous situation, but not enough to make it capable of causing damage, and the second person that completed it making it into something that can cause damage. So even though the second person did not make all of it, he alone is responsible for whatever damage it does. So the first guy made half a product, but this guy finished up the job. Therefore, he is chayiv, even though he only did half a job, but he brought to completion. The damager pays only for damage to property that is not subject to the laws of Me'ilah, meaning private property which does not belong to the Beis Hamikdash, nechasim shall ben a bris, and property that belongs to to fellow Jews, okay, not to the goyim. Nechasim hamiyuchadim. He pays only if the item did the damage. That did the damage was property that was assigned to him. He owned it for the time of the damage until the court reached its verdict. If it was beyond that, then he's not. There's different rules. He pays for damage that happened anywhere, except the place that belongs to the damager. And a place that belongs to both the damager and the damage part. So we're talking about two laws over here. So in regard to most categories of damage, it makes no difference what place of the damage is owned by the public or by a private person. The only exception is damage that occurred in the mazik's own property. The mazik is the damager. For example, one person's ox entered the field of another and was attacked there by an animal belonging to the owner of the field. The mazik need not pay because he can say to the nizak, "What was your ox doing in my property? Why am I chayav for it? That since you had no right to let your ox enter my property, I was not responsible to guard my ox so that it would not injure yours. Your ox had no right being here, so why is it my fault? However, if the field owner himself did the damage, he is chayav to pay because the nizak can say to him, you had the right to remove my animal from your property. You had no right to damage it. So what are you doing? The category now B, the categories of regal and shin are different from all the others. In their case, the Torah says, and the animal damaged in the field of another, which teaches that the mazik must pay for shin and regal only if the damage happened in the property of the nizak. If it happened in any other place, such as public property or property belonging to a third person, or property belonging to both the mazik and the nizak, then the mazik is exempt from having to pay because it is not the field of another. As it comes out that the Mishnah's two clauses refer to different types of damage. A, when it says that one is chayav for damage that happened anywhere except the place that belongs only to the mazik, it refers to all categories of damage. B, when it adds to both the mazik and the nizak, it refers specifically to the categories of shein and regal. Only in cases of shein or regal is the owner exempt from paying for damages that happened in the place owned by both him and the nizak. But in cases of other types of damage, he is chayiv for damage that happened in a place that he owns together with the nizak, and he's exempt only if the place is entirely his. Okay. Regarding the payment itself, when something does damage, the damager, the person who's responsible for guarding it, must pay damages with the best of the land that he owns. Mishnah Gimel, Shum Kesef. The valuation of damage must be in money, the Shavah Kesef. And if a damager dies and leaves property to his heirs, the victim cannot collect money, but only that which is merely worth money, meaning land. If they based in these decisions, namely the evaluation of damage and its collection from the damager or his family, must sometimes be made by a court of expert judges, and they must be based on the testimony of witnesses who are free men and members of the Jewish nation. Women are included in laws of damages. Whether a woman causes damage or suffers damage, the law for her is the same as that of the man. It doesn't make any difference, man or woman. V'hanizak v'hamazik b'tashlumin. Then the victim and the damager share in the payment, meaning that there are cases in which the victim also pays. Why was the victim paid for? For example, if an animal is killed and later its carcass decreased in value, the damager needs to pay only for the victim's loss at the time of the damage and not for the loss that occurred later. Therefore, the victim pays in the sense that he's not compensated for his entire loss. And he has to pay accordingly. Um, okay, so besides, Mr. Dalit goes change a little bit up. So besides for the four categories that we mentioned in Mishnah Aleph, you have the fifth category of Karen, which is horn. Karen includes damages that an animal does intentionally, meaning that it gores an animal with its horns. You will see like a bull, the way that it takes the horns and it flows people up in the air. That's called goring. This intentional damage is unusual. The category also includes any activity that is unusual. Therefore, whatever an animal does damage in an unusual way, the rules of Karen apply. Um, we're also going to deal with now the difference between a tamed and a muad. So a tamed is the animal that's not expected to do damage in a particular way. Since such behavior is unexpected for this animal, its owner does not have to guard it from damaging in such a way. Therefore, if the animal happens to do damage in this way, the owner does not have to pay the full amount of the victim's loss. He pays only half. But on the other hand, in muad, it's an animal that's expected to do damage in a certain way because he's done it a couple times already. Um, and every and things that are within the nature of the animal to do, such as eating, walking, then he's considered to be a muad. So let's see. Mishnah Dalet. Chamisha tamir and chamisha muad. There are five situations in which the animal is a tam and five which it's a muad. Habehema edem muedis. An animal is not a muad, rather it's a tam. The first three times there are damages in any of the unusual ways. Lo lagach, it is not a muad to gore with its horns. Lo laguf, nor to push with its body. Lo lashuch, nor to bite something with intent to damage it. Lo lirbas, nor to squat on something with intent to break it. Lo livod, nor to kick something with intent to break it. Since these are unusual activities, the owner pays only half the amount of the damage. And in the case of damage through shame, through eating, an animal is a muad from the start, since it's normal for an animal to eat food that is suitable for it. In the case of damage, though, in the case of damage to rego, an animal is a muad from the start, since it's normal for an animal to break things in the course of its walking. Beshur muad, an ox or other animal that became a muad by doing Karen damage three times. Beshur hamazik, b'shus hanizak, an ox or any animal that does Karen damage in an area of muad, even the first time it acts that way. Adam, and the person is a muad from the start. Because he doesn't get three chances. He gets he's counted as muad from the first action. Hazeh v'hariv v'hadov v'hanemer v'habardos v'hanachash shehari elu mu'adim. The wolf, the lion, the bear, the leopard, the hyena, and the snake are mu'adim from the start, even in respect to Karen damage, because it's normal for these animals to deliberately attack. And Rabbi Lezer says, this man when they are domesticated, for their reasons from home, they are not mu'adin because they're presumably tame. But nachash surprise, surprise, even Rav Lezer accepts that a snake is always a mu'adin, even if it was raised in a home, because he agrees that a snake can never be tamed. Let's wrap it up. What are the differences between tam and a what? Ella hasam, sorry, ella tam, mishalim chazi nezik gufo. The differences are only that when a tam damages, its owner pays half damages, and the payment is taken from its body. The owner need to give only has to give only the damaging animal as payment. If that animal's value is less than half the damage, it does not pay the difference. And if it dies, becomes lost, it does not pay anything. But when a muad damages, its owner pays full damages, no matter how much the damaging animal is worth. And if he pays with land, he must pay from the best land that he has. That's all for today. We'll continue tomorrow with Perek Beis. Have a wonderful day.